Game one of our doubleheader just wrapped, and it's the Lady Tigers of Tuskegee over the Lady Bears of Miles College. Welcome to the HBCU Go Sports Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. 24/7 freshness from pits to toes and down below. I'm Jasmine McCoy. He's Tali Carr as we bring you the best stories in sports, entertainment, and culture from around our HBCUs. So, Tali, did Miles live up to that #1 spot? What were your takeaways?
No, they did not. I'm going to blow up my iPad here. It looks like 5, 6, 7, 8 points in the second half. No, they did not. Tuskegee knocks off Miles for the second time in 2 weeks. So, Jazz, that leads me to say, after holding Miles to 8 points in the second half, if Tuskegee is not ranked next week, I am leaving. I'm going to leave the show. I'm just going to walk out and go. Tuskegee has shown themselves to be the team to beat in the SIC.
And for our feature story today, we turn to a joint program between the NFL and Tuskegee University. The NFL began partnering with HBCUs in 2016 and launched the Campus Connection program in 2018 to introduce and prepare students for potential careers in professional football administration. In the fall of 2023, students at Tuskegee University got the call. The team would design an innovative, state-of-the-art fictional football stadium and pitched the design to the NFL. We spoke to some of those involved with the project to learn more about the process. For over 95 years, Legion Field hosted sports history. It was once home to the Magic City Classic. Now it serves as a collaborative teaching tool for students at Tuskegee University and the NFL as they reimagine the stadium with their eyes on the future.
I had hoped to learn more about, structures of a stadium, the ins and outs of how a stadium runs, and then also by other students from different majors, seeing how they work and how supply chain management works and engineering works. So just learning from them as well to see how that all fits into architecture.
The first task at hand, pick a site.
We kind of settled on where the current Legion Field is, just west of downtown Birmingham, a historic stadium, older African-American community that has existed there for some time. We made that choice because of that fact. We wanted to show how a stadium can coexist with the idea of redeveloping an urban community in such a way that we're not creating an adverse economic, impact, but also for the stadium at least to be active in that revitalization.
Because one thing I am passionate about is not doing any gentrification. You have to really think outside of the box to think about the people that also live there as well, and also think about how cost of living might go up.
A multidisciplinary team began to work together, taking a trip to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, a personal highlight for Alexis.
My favorite part would probably be going to the Falcons Stadium in Atlanta. I've never been to an NFL stadium, so that was actually really exciting to get a personal tour of the stadium, ins and outs, and behind the scenes as well, because you don't see a lot of things on TV, or if you go to the game. So that was really fun to go to.
All of these different parts go together to make these buildings. I mean, it's not a single person that is able to do all of these things. So there were a lot of moving parts.
All the hard work paid off for the final presentation.
We had officials from representing different offices within NFL that were present, and there were some individuals there from the local chapter of American Institute of Architects. And so I think it was very well received. A lot of good questions that were asked, and I think students did very well presenting the project, but also responding to some specific questions that were asked around things that, problem solving, logistics, and just how do you do this or how do you do that? And I thought they came up with some very good answers, as part of that process.
We had some students on there that were soccer players, and so they thought it was really important that we had a field that was versatile. The fact that they had a passion about soccer and wanted to also include that in our proposal. So the diverse students that we had and their experiences integrated into what the NFL, gave us initially, the end product was really more than what they expected.
University officials are excited about the exposure and access the students gain from the projects and look forward to growing this partnership to expand to other special projects with the NFL. We'll take a quick break. Still ahead, we'll check in on Tolly's Pulse and the hottest team in HBCU sports. That's next on the HBCU Go Sports Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. Welcome back to the HBCU Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. And now it's time to check the pulse with Tolly and a few HBCU sports teams. We start with the hottest team in HBCU basketball. It's the ladies of Norfolk State with an overall record of 20-4 and 11-0 in the MEAC conference. Tolly, these ladies are no joke and making a mark nationally as well.
Hey, say it louder for the people in the back. Norfolk State, before they got into the MEAC meat of their schedule, had some big out-of-conference wins. No one has touched them in the MEAC. This is a team that can win the tournament. Still got to do that, but get to the NCAA and maybe make some noise in the big dance.
And maybe go dancing. There we go. Speaking of nationally ranked, there's a few players making their mark on that same Norfolk Spartans team. We've got a flashy jewel of her own, Miss Diamond Johnson, coming in third on the national NCAA national rankings. She's unbelievable, Tolly.
Yes, she is. She can score. She can dish the rock. You see the numbers there, but where she ranks nationally is in steals. So not only offensive minded, but she can D you up as well, Jazz. She is the engine that drives Norfolk State University.
And we also have the freshman at Howard University, Blake Harper. He's 24th in the country and scoring at 19.4 points per game. He's the leading scorer in D1 HBCU hoops.
Hey, a child shall lead them, right? Blake Harper, a true freshman. He came in, took over this Bison program. Look, he can shoot it from the outside. That left-handed jumper is sweet. Almost 40% from behind the line. He can get it done around the basket. Great footwork. Hey, he's a top 25 scorer. D1 hoops.
And of course, with the big game this weekend in the NFL, we wanted to point out a few HBCU alum first on the field. Fayetteville State alum Joshua Williams plays for the third time in a row in his third year with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Little attitude check, Bronco pride there. Sticking with defense, Brian Cook started his college career at Howard before transferring to Cincinnati, and even the officials in on it. Jazz?
Yeah, side judge Boris Cheek will work his fourth big game and has worked the most games by any NFL official, and he's an alum of Morgan State. And though there are a few coaches that have coached at many different HBCUs, we highlight three that are also former players at HBCUs.
We got Roy Anderson. He's an assistant coach with the Eagles. He played at, here's that name again, Howard.
And Eric Dickerson, also with the Eagles, played at South Carolina State.
And Terry Bradden, who is with the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they get three in a row? We will see. He also played at Howard. Hey, what's the theme today, Jazz? Played at Howard.
Yeah, there you go. And that will do it for today's Pulse. When we come back, it's Spin Around Social Media with Social Call, and it's all about the bands. We'll be right back for more of the HBCU Sports Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. Welcome back to the HBCU Go Sports Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. It's almost time to get you back out to Alabama for the second half of our doubleheader. But first, it's time for this week's Social Call, where we look at social media stories around our culture, sports, and even campus life. Let's do it. Today, it's all about the bands. Last weekend, nearly 60,000 fans packed SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles for the West Coast debut of the Honda Battle of the Bands. For those who don't know, there are no HBCUs on the West Coast, but the fam is everywhere. And you know we will always show up and show out for the culture.
All right, for those of you who didn't know that, I need you to catch up. All right, no HBCUs in California. We were spoiled here because the Battle of the Bands was in Atlanta for so long, but new location, hey, they packed it out on the West Coast, and new exposure, new eyeballs, a great time.
A great time. Next up, recording artist Travis Scott has some new heat for the streets with his newest single, 4x4, which prominently features the Prairie View A&M Marching Band. The song also contains a sample from a melody performed by the Tennessee State Aristocrat of Bands at the Southern Heritage Classic. Check it out if you haven't, and let us know your thoughts in our comments. Travis Scott then came back on X to invite any band that can handle the horn arrangement in the song 4x4 to hit him up. He may not only take you to Coachella with them, but he may even, and I quote, take care a semester because college is hard, but music is fun.
Travis, I know you got a lot of money, but there's a lot of people in these bands, Travis. There's a lot of semesters.
A lot of money.
I'm not in your pockets, Travis.
There you go.
It's a lot of bread, bro.
Yep. Sticking with the band theme, one HBCU band was invited to the big NFL game this weekend. The Human Jukebox of Southern University will be headlining the pregame show on Sunday. They made the announcement earlier this week after performing on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Well, what a month it is for the Jukebox, from Jennifer Hudson to the Super Bowl. They are getting it done. One of the best bands in the land.
And they have a great intro in that show, so it's actually very nice.
One of your faves.
Yeah, one of my faves. That's a wrap for this week's Social Call. Make sure y'all keep the convo going. Hit us up in the comments, tag us, and let us know your thoughts. You can follow us on all your socials at hbcugo.tv. We're just minutes away from our men's game when Miles takes on Tuskegee. We'll be back to wrap it up after the break. We're just about to wrap it up here on the HBCU Sports Crossover Show presented by Old Spice. We'll get you back to Tuskegee in just a moment. Holly, high expectations for this Miles team coming in at 17-3 overall and 13-1 in the conference. What should we expect with this game? I know these two teams are staggering in those standings.
Look, this sounds like the cliche, but the records being what they are, this is more of a rivalry than anything else. So anything goes in these rivalry games, but there are some high-powered players here. Miles has been the standard for a little while, but there's a lot of good teams in the SIAC, but this is a championship-level team. And look at that. Miles led by who else? Alvin Miles. He's a top 5 scorer in the SIAC, and this guy is the only guy who has logged over 1,000 minutes of playing time this season. I just checked that out on the stats. So you see the numbers there. He's going to go head-to-head with Kevin Sesberry for Tuskegee. That'll be a good duel there. You know, okay shooting from the outside. We're getting so spoiled by these guys who can shoot 40% from behind the three-point line.
Yeah, I know. And these two teams, we always look at these players, and they're always neck and neck when it comes to these stats. You got one guy 15.4, then 17, shooting identical from the field. It'll be very interesting to see how these two teams duel it out because, like you said, it's a rivalry. So no matter the standings, no matter what you see on paper, these teams will show up.
And the crowd is primed because the Tuskegee women just got a big win. So let's see if it carries over.
We'll have to see if it carries over. It's just going to be a very exciting, and it's time. Hey, I think these people are catching on to our polls, having these experts watch closely because Tuskegee, they came out, the women's did. We'll have to see what the men can do. The men are coming in as underdogs, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good one, Tolly.
America, it is about to go down in Alabama.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very good one. Now, next week we go to North Carolina, my hometown. Shaw will take a quick ride down to Charlotte
to
take
from
on.
There too.
You are. I'll give you that, even though you've been here for quite some time. Johnson C. Smith. Then on February 22nd, it's a battle right here in Georgia as Albany State takes on Fort Valley, and on March 1st, it's Alabama A&M taking on Alabama State. And these games actually coming up in March, as you can see, we will be having an all-women's broadcast to represent Women's Month. Yes, Women's History Month. Yeah. So it's going to be nice to see all of us come together. Nicole, just a squad, me, myself here in studio. It's going to be.
Come to work?
Well, I mean, you said if Tuskegee would not be in the rankings, you wouldn't show up. So we'll have to see first what the experts decide, and then when it comes to Women's History Month. But we'll make an exception.
But
You're a girl dad. You're a girl dad.
Yes.
So we can
I'll come
make
take care of you ladies.
Yeah,
I'll buy you food and all that. Listen, these are some big rivalries coming up. Shaw and Johnson C. Smith. If you know anything about CIAA basketball, look, from Spalding Gym to Bray Boy, those are two environments in the CIAA. Intimate environments. The crowd is on top of you whenever they get together. That's a good matchup. Fort Valley State and Albany State. I mean, that is like in that division in the SIAC. I don't want to take away from Tuskegee and Miles, but look, Fort Valley State, Albany State, always a big one. And in the SWAC, when you talk about Alabama State and Alabama A&M, one of the most fiercest rivalries. I know football gets all the attention with the Magic City Classic and all that, but anytime it's A&M, Alabama State, there are lots of bragging rights, houses divided, whatever you want to call it, on the line when those two teams get together, and you'll see it right here on HBCU Go.
And I think, too, our experts and us covering the game here and in studio and the people back on the crew, I think we're seeing how these standings don't mean anything. It is very competitive play. We're inching closer to a very critical time for these teams. We're seeing Tuskegee show out for the women's. The men's game, I'm pretty sure it's going to deliver. So it's going to be some exciting stuff.
Well, you know, the tournament is coming both for Division II and Division I. It's a little easier to get in on the Division II side for HBCUs into the bigger NCAA tournament if you don't win your conference tournament. But for, you know, the D1 side, you know, the SWAC and the MEAC and guys like Tennessee State and A&T and Hampton and all those guys, they need to win their tournament to get that automatic berth into the big dance. Now, you can win the regular season conference championship, lose in the tournament, and then, you know, go over to the NIT. But those at-large bids, look, it is what it is. HBCUs, you got to win your conference, all right? So we talked about Norfolk State women earlier. Like, they can have this great regular season undefeated, but if they get upset in the tournament, oh, that's a tough pill to swallow.
But also looking to the future, it can help with how much talent we're seeing individually within HBCU basketball and that carrying over to overall team success. For now, let's get you back to Tuskegee for the second half of our doubleheader. James Hadnot, Tim Scarborough, and Nia Simone will have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the HBCU Go Sports Crossover Show. We're here every Saturday in between games. Thank you so much and take care.